Ports on Nintendo Switch are always gonna be a thing. The console has honestly become a safe haven for games that have been released many years ago in a lot of cases. And honestly, the more we get them, the less exciting ports become. We've played these games, they don't always even run or look better on Switch. Oftentimes they'll run and look worse on Nintendo Switch. But guys, I think we have the perfect port with Darksiders Warmastered Edition. Man, I didn't even know how much I loved this game until I played it on Nintendo Switch. I knew that I liked it. I played it when it was originally released way back in the day on Xbox 360. I've been a fan of Darksiders since day one, but now that I got to take this on the go with me, play on the couch and, play during a doctor's appointment, I did actually get to do that. I am super convinced that this is one of the best Zelda-like experiences of all time. If you've never played Darksiders at all, let me get a little bit into what the game is. I mentioned Zelda. Think Zelda, think God of War, mix them up a little bit, and boom, you have Darksiders. Now, the combat isn't quite as good. It is a little repetitive now that I'm playing through it and thinking about it for this video. The combat does get a little bit repetitive, although you can purchase moves. That does change things up a little bit. There's all types of upgrades. The story is really cool though. That's the first thing that honestly instantly grabs me. The apocalypse got started when it wasn't supposed to. You are one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You rode when you weren't supposed to ride, and now you have to figure out why this is happening and how to stop it. The aesthetic of it isn't probably the most appealing anymore. It does feel like a little bit of a game of its time just visually, but the gameplay and the puzzle elements, everything just kind of makes up for it. I have been loving playing through this game, and I've played the game maybe 3 or 4 times now. So if I'm enjoying that, and I don't like replaying games very often, that definitely says something. Let's talk about the port though, because that's mainly what we are here to talk about. Every other developer, take notes. This is how you port your game over to Nintendo Switch. Okay, what if you like 1080p, right? You really want your resolution. Cool, play 1080p, 30 FPS. But if maybe you want to play 60 FPS and you don't care about the resolution as much, this game gives you the option to choose and do that. You can go into the menu and just play in quality mode or performance mode. Performance mode obviously is going to give you the 60 FPS with a little bit less of that visual flair, which is honestly not that much of a difference. So I definitely recommend playing in performance mode so you can get those 60 FPS because it doesn't look all that dramatically different. The option to play either 1080p 30 or lower than 1080p 60 is really awesome. Digital Foundry has done a breakdown of all the super technical aspects of the port. You can go check out their video for that. But oh my god, why doesn't this happen more often? Why isn't this an option that is always given to us? Right? Because some people care more about resolution than others. I personally rather have 60 FPS. That's just how I prefer to play video games. But having the option is not a bad thing. And again, all other developers need to take note, including you, Panic Button, including you. I know that Youngblood is coming. Why not give us a version of that game that can run at 60 FPS if it's possible? I know that Youngblood probably is going to look way better than Darksiders, but I will say that playing Darksiders Warmastered Edition in handheld looked freaking beautiful. You start off, you get those cutscenes, and it looks amazing. It honestly probably looks a little bit better than it did way back in the day on Xbox 360. Now, the game has, of course, been re-released and put on Xbox One and PS4, and it's not going to hold a candle to that. We know that. But as far as the old versions, this is super good. And with this game's release, I honestly think back to other ports that have been put out, and I almost wonder if maybe they should slow down and not put them out. Even these day and date ports. Okay, let's talk. This is gonna make no sense, but still, let's talk about WWE, right? The port on Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch version of WWE is atrocious. It's so atrocious that nobody bought it and they didn't make another one. We've had one. There are a lot of fans of WWE games. They sell quite well on other platforms. They continue to make them, just not for Nintendo Switch because it feels like they just couldn't get the port down. THQ Nordic did something fantastic and was able to get a game running like this, so I don't see why other developers can't do it. Hey, whoever is over there at 2K and basically every other third-party publisher that is afraid to port their games over, go talk to someone at THQ. Go talk to someone at Panic Button, because they clearly know what they're doing, and they clearly found a way to get amazing-looking games on Nintendo Switch. I feel like, hey, it's year 3. You guys should be a little bit more comfortable with the hardware. You should be able to make these games happen. So my hope now is that Darksiders 2 is the next step up. I honestly have zero care for Darksiders 3. I don't like that game. But Darksiders 2 is amazing. If we can get the definitive, they're very weird with their words, definitive, because it's not definitive, it's death, because death is the main character in Darksiders 2. If they can get that on here, I will gladly play that again. And here's the funny part. I told myself, hey, I'm going to try Darksiders Warmastered on Nintendo Switch, but there's no way I'm going to play through it all. At this point, I might as well just go, because once you get to that first big area, right? There's a spider boss, the first dungeon. It's all there. Once you get there, you might as well keep going, because it's so good. And I'm honestly having so much time, even though I know what's coming in the story. It's just a fun experience, and that's more than a lot of other games can say. One other thing that I remembered when playing Darksiders that I had completely forgot about was Mark Hamill. He has an amazing performance as one of the characters in the game. If you don't know who Mark Hamill is, voices the Joker in a lot of the animated stuff. He's in Star Wars. You guys know who he is, but he lends his voice to video games every once in a while, and Darksiders is one of my favorite games that he ever voices. But honestly, at this point, it does feel like THQ, which has been doing a really good job with ports, and Panic Button should hold a school and let other developers come take classes, teach them how to make good games on Nintendo Switch, please, because we need this. They can't make every game coming up. They have, very finite resources, and they are going to do what they're doing. Panic Button just put out another port with Hob, the Definitive Edition, and that game runs very, very well on Nintendo Switch as well. But man, I can't believe how blown away I am by Darksiders being as good as it is. Now, is the game perfect? No. But it is a solid 8 out of 10 in my opinion. And we need games like this. I was telling Zach just the other day, why don't games like this exist anymore? It doesn't have to be like the triple A game. I said triple like 4 times. Regardless, it doesn't have to be triple A, but it can be like double A. And still be super quality, still be top notch, and still perform and run very, very well. And honestly, Darksiders delivers on all fronts. If you like Zelda at all, you're going to enjoy this. And not Breath of the Wild. This is nothing like Breath of the Wild. But the older Zelda games where you have dungeon, you get a new weapon to progress through the dungeon, things like that. The themes, the story, a little bit more mature, but it's fine. It's super awesome. And again, Zelda, God of War, had a baby, and it's called Darksiders, and it's really, really fun, and you should check it out on Nintendo Switch right now if you haven't done so. If you've been on the fence, jump over the fence, grab that. You are going to have a fun time, I guarantee it. But with that out of the way, this is how every port should be. Again, all developers take note. You need to do better, because obviously THQ figured it out. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are amazing. And that is pretty much it. We'll catch you on the next one. SwitchForce out.